So I get to look at both sides, and those feet are getting stretched farther and farther apart. Now here's how I plan to put this together. First, we'll talk about some of the general challenges in mobile UC. Basically, why this thing isn't hitting on all 8 cylinders. Basically, what's going on? Where does this gap come from? And we'll talk about a couple of general strategies for how we can close the gap. It's either we go toward the UC end of this, or we go toward the mobility end. I'm thinking the latter might be the stronger strategy. Of course, to do that, you do have to be familiar with what's going on in the mobility side. So we'll talk about some of the major issues we are facing in mobility. That is, when I go to the mobility conferences, what is the stuff we're actually talking about? Because UC is not on that list. Then as a wrap-up, some general directions about how we might get there. Now first, oops, I guess, oh, yeah, should probably push the right button to work better. There we go. Challenges in mobile UC. First couple of general observations. First, what is happening overall in wireless? Number one, life is great. This is absolutely the most exciting place you want to be in networking today. Of course, most of that is centered around the consumer experience. And basically what our users are coming into the office looking for is really being shaped by that consumer mobile experience, which is highly evolved at this stage of the game. Also, it's devices. Services are essentially out of the picture. Actually, services were out of the picture some time ago. The only thing AT&T had a few years back to differentiate themselves from Verizon and Sprint was the fact that they had the iPhone. Of course, it was crushing their network, but they had the iPhone, and that's what people wanted. Of course, now all popular devices are available from all the major suppliers. Smartphones, by the way, are now outselling basic phones in the United States. That crossover point came last year. This is important both for what we look at in the market. It's also important for the carriers business because it means they're one of the great growth opportunities. The magic word among mobile operators is ARPU, average revenue per user. Strategy for increasing which involved first getting them off the basic phone onto a feature phone so you could sell them a texting plan. A big move was get them off the feature phone onto a smartphone, then you got $30 a month on a data plan. Unfortunately, they've just about saturated that market now and might have to actually get creative to increase revenues. The 4G wireless networks are catching up with the wired networks with regard to reliability and capacity. Verizon is clearly leading the way in this and all the performance tests we're seeing, but still, spectrum demand is outstripping supply. If those projections that Cisco is making regarding the growth in video or mobile traffic based on video, that growth curve looks like this. Our ability to increase capacity in the mobile world is looking more like this. Another one of those gaps we need to cross. That's the big picture in wireless. Now the big question is, what's going on in mobile UC? See, I listen to these keynotes all the time. I love this stuff. They love to talk about my mobility business. But here's the frank truth. Now, I chair the mobility track at Enterprise Connect, so I'm there at all the sessions. I get to ask the questions, and every year I do my great survey question. So, the audience, and I mean, the mobility tracks are pulling big now. We're getting 300 people in each one of these sessions, and I ask the basic question. So, now what do you guys know about this Jabba stuff, the 1X, OpenScape Mobile, yada, yada, yada? How many here are actually using that? And actually, this year I was kind of surprised. About 20-25% of the hands in the audience went up. I said, wow, looking pretty good. I said, okay, vendor guys, put your hands down. There are about 2 hands left in the air after that second question. So in essence, yeah, talk is great, but clearly these things are not being picked up on. And that's one of the questions we want to ask. Why is this thing not hitting on all 8 cylinders? Now, in terms of what we are doing, in mobile UC, we are focusing on this picture of mobility. That is, knowledge workers with smartphones and tablets doing knowledge worker work. That is one part of what we look at in mobility. What about this mobility? I mentioned Bob Carter from Federal Express this morning. Son of a gun not only changed his entire company, he changed his entire industry by looking at how to creatively, and man, Carter is like a god among the mobility set. Because he did this back when the tools were nowhere near as sophisticated as they are now. I mean, data networks, mobile data networks back in those days, you were lucky if you got 4,800 bits a second. So son of a gun, they designed terminals that had an application. They designed a solution that could work in a network that may be working at 4,800 bits a second. Of course, point of sale. Of course, we're moving beyond this now. And to use one of Marty's favorite terms, computer-enabled business processes. This is a picture of what it looks like. Or this one. So one of the big revenue opportunities we're looking for in the mobile space today, machine-to-machine communication. We're slapping modems on soda machines. Well, you're starting to see the carrier ads, the operator ads. They're starting to look at tracking equipment assets. Tons of these applications showing up in the healthcare field. So we're actually moving beyond even just a smartphone and an application. We're looking at really integrating our technology into a fully automated process. Where'd you see this? Yeah, the mobile industry is going in one direction and UC is stuck in this one little corner. We've got to start thinking bigger. So the basic challenges, to wrap up this first part, essentially what we've been doing is trying to do business with consumer tools. No offense to our dear friends at Cisco and their enterprise-oriented CS tablet. Now CS tablet uses the Gingerbread version of the Android operating system. Now, one of the downsides of Gingerbread is you cannot do native hardware-based on-device encryption in Android 2.3. We don't recommend Android 2.3 devices for mobile customers. We don't. Yeah, we're into like that ice cream sandwich and the honeycomb one. Yeah, 3.0, 4.0. That's what, honest to God, we don't recommend you use that in an enterprise environment. It's the enterprise tablet, though. Challenge now. Now here's really the two biggest things I spend time talking to my clients about. The short-term challenge, this is the trade-off in BYOD. Bring your own device, balancing user requests and preferences with enterprise requirements for security, control, and support. That's the focus you should be looking on in the near term. That's where things like mobile security, mobile device management come into play. That's the stuff we're really talking about today. Interestingly, I just completed a report for Information Week. I do a lot of the survey stuff for Information Week Analytics, and the one we just published, it's actually, if you go to reports.informationweek.com and click on the Mobility tab, I think it's the first one that's on there. It's the Mobile Security Survey for 2012. So we got to go out and ask users what percent, have the percentages later, what percentage are actually going BYOD or plan to in the near future, how they're doing it. A wealth of information to give you a flavor of really where the enterprise users are with regard to mobility today. The answer you'll see from the report is woefully unprepared. Oh yeah, the BYOD horse is getting way in front of the security and manageability cart here. Of course, what I was trying to emphasize with my clients is that's really the short-term objective. See, the real objective at the end of the day is enabling business transformation through mobility. That's what Federal Express did. That's what the successful mobile companies are doing today. Of course, BYOD might very well turn out to be an obstacle in that. See, if we're stuck in this paradigm that everything is based on apps, well, if I'm going to have to support 4 or 5 different platforms, I'll need 4 or 5 different versions of that app, which just made my life 4 or 5 times more miserable. Now, of course, there is a potential other end game here, and Phil Edholm is going to be talking about part of it on Wednesday morning, which is the app development using HTML5, which could change the paradigm entirely in the mobility space, because at that point, it's not about having an app. Everything runs in the browser. Everything we're thinking about in terms of mobility is predicated on the availability of apps. That whole game could change with HTML5. If it does, the deck in mobility could shift entirely. It wouldn't matter if it would give guys like Windows Phone a shot. Actually, even BlackBerry could get a shot. Talk about being disconnected from reality. One of the newsletters I was reading this morning before we started up, BlackBerry World was last week, and Thorsten Hines, the new CEO of BlackBerry, gave the keynote and confused everyone. But Thorsten came back again this week and wanted to be sure that he was clear that BlackBerry was not abandoning the consumer market. Boy, does that put my mind at rest. Who the hell is abandoning whom in this movie? How disconnected from reality do you have to be? Oh, this is what, but the end game we're looking at here is think about how you change the business. Now let's talk about what's going on now. First off, when we're looking at enterprise mobility, I look at three basic benefits we look at. Accessibility, productivity, and information. Accessibility, we can reach critical people at critical times. Critical people are generally either the guy who knows the answer to that particular question, or the guy with the management level that can approve an exception, and we can take care of that customer issue. Productivity, we've seen that in spades. Certainly with mobile email and all this other Jim Dandy stuff that comes following behind, though most of what we're seeing thus far is still in the way of canned applications. So basically, we're getting our mobile application from SAP, from Oracle, from Salesforce.com. We're not really seeing a whole lot of specialized line of business customized application development as yet. I was speaking at Interop in the last, or yesterday morning and afternoon, and we only found one or two apps, and this was an audience of a couple of hundred people, all IT specialists in mobility, and most of those, by the way, were really geared toward B2C stuff. You know, the ones that usually the marketing department has, rather than internal applications. So productivity and information. One of the few ways enterprises can differentiate themselves today is by getting to information more quickly. The result, in the short term, is business responsiveness. Faster decision making, faster customer problem resolution. The longer term, though, and the goal that I always try to emphasize is, how can you change your business doing this? And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of examples like Federal Express as yet. However, I think with this move to M2M, we're going to start seeing a lot more of that, and that's a place you're probably going to want to be playing. Now, face value, FMC, and mobile UC should be a success. For the time being, our primary mechanism for fixed mobile convergence is called call forwarding. I forward my call to the mobile. Call, that's a new one. Or equivalence, which would be simultaneous ring, progressive ring, whatever the heck you're going to do. Call forwarding. But it should be a success. Because when you think of it, we still need a business telephone system. Though I have heard at many of the mobile conferences, the mobile guy said, well, what do you need this PBX for? You've got mobile phones. Well, pal, how about an attendant? How about like group pickup? Emergency services when the lights go out. How about, imagine doing an automatic call distribution system using cell phones? It's going to work. I mean, no concept of what we use in business telephony. Of course, users divide their time between work and mobile. We do our best to try to shuffle calls between the two environments. And UC does provide better communication tools. Certainly, folks that are out on the road, access to their colleagues' presence should be something that they value. But they're passing it by. Also, integration of the wired network, and if we can, do these dual mode versions, where when we're in the office, the calls go over the Wi-Fi network. Those things can actually pay for themselves. Not the easiest thing to do. A few years back, I did write a book on voice over wireless LAN, the complete guide. The book is 400 pages long. Which means you can do voice over wireless LAN, but it took me 400 pages to explain why. This is not going to be an easy trip. So, options, we've got them out the wazoo. From the dual mode Wi-Fi cellular ones, NEC and ShoreTel are certainly still pursuing those options. Most are moving now toward more sort of the cellular only versions, or if they do involve a Wi-Fi element, the shift between the two is done manually. We have the web-based clientless ones, which actually started to look pretty good on tablets. Some of the carriers are getting into this, Sprint with their mobile integration. We have a dual mode version from T-Mobile, but this is what's happening. This wasn't one of my surveys. My pal Grant Marshall did this one on Wi-Fi trends, and the question is, what's your take on fixed mobile convergence? We've deployed it as the skinny little 4% slice up here at the top. My favorite is, not interested, never heard of it. That's about 25 to 30% of the market over that corner. The interested but no specific plans were the biggest ones. So there is interest, it's just nobody's jumping the broom here. So Why not? This is the question that has plagued me for the last 5 years as I've watched this develop. I mentioned part of it before, which is mobility decisions are made by the mobility crew, and the mobility crew doesn't care. Mobility is a topic in UC. UC is not a topic in mobility. Of course, a lot of it has to do with product satisfaction. Son of a gun, the tools just aren't up to snuff. The user is used to an integrated, smooth running experience in those consumer tools, and they tried the mobile UC thing, and they've got themselves a left-handed monkey wrench. It just doesn't cut the mustard. We see trials. Generally, they don't extend much beyond the IT department. It just doesn't meet the user requirements. Also, here's the big one. Many of the stuff we're trying to do in UC, we've been doing in smartphones forever. Just click to call, old news. Ability to reach the guy in any one of these things, text him. God, I can even do that on my BlackBerry. And it works a lot smoother. It doesn't involve loading another application and taking me off in a completely different direction. I like the way my smartphone works. Why change it? Also, cellular buyers, this is one of the big ones. We'll talk a lot about this in a moment. Cellular buyers operate independently of IT, and with a completely different set of issues. And in terms of voice over wireless LAN, for whatever reason, most users have this belief. It is purely a matter of faith, mind you, but a belief that their wireless LANs cannot support voice. I can tell you categorically they are wrong. Any wireless LAN can support voice, even the one you have at home. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how much. It's how many calls you're going to put on there before you start an impact. And of course, you do it wrong, you can shoot yourself in the foot with a major league gun. You see, one of the great things, wireless LANs is still a shared media environment. Everyone's vying to get on the same channel. So we came up with this great idea, it's called quality of service. Now, quality of service does not increase your capacity, it's just affecting the pecking order. So in essence, with quality of service, which is called 802.11e or Wi-Fi multimedia, we have the ability to push the voice guys to the front of the line. Now, by definition, if you're pushing somebody to the front of the line, somebody else, we refer to 802.11e as the New Yorker's approach to waiting in line. Cut to the front. Of course, the problem is, if you turn all these voice guys loose and give them highest priority, you can effectively squeeze out all the data capacity of your wireless LAN. This is why that book took 400 pages. But certainly there's this lack of faith, but nobody has actually, most organizations haven't even bothered to try it. They just assume it isn't going to work and look in the other direction. Now, how's this going to change with the advent of BYOD? It makes it worse rather than better. Short answer. See, the end user is now going to be in the control of the decision. One of the things that blows my mind about this is when you know somebody's not serious. Because I asked the vendors, well, what do you think about the uptake of this mobile UC? They said, oh man, you should see all the downloads we're getting. What idiot counts that as success in a mobile application? They downloaded it. You know what percentage of the applications they download on my smartphone I dump within a day? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like, it's a free, what the heck, sure, download it, sucks, boom, gone. Well, we have to, people who are successful in this mobile stuff have analytics. What a word. Yeah, we know if they're logged on, we know which parts they're using, how often they're using them. And we go back and talk to the users. We understand, and it's measure, study, verify, improve. There is a process improvement that goes on. That's why the guys that are good at this are good at it. It wasn't a matter of luck. Well, maybe the fart apps, but that's another matter. But basically, the vendors have to have products that entice the users and create long-term, and that's the key, is long-term value. People using mobile applications, real fickle population, get bored easy. The attention span of a ferret and a double espresso. You gotta keep giving them new stuff. You can't, we're working on the upgrade for this. It's going to be out in a year and a day. Wow, great. It's pretty bad now, and I'll get 2 more features in a year and a day. Sign me up. Oh no, good mobile applications. Like every couple of months, they're throwing you a new trick. Basically, they want you back on it. They want you trying a new trick. Yeah, some of the tricks work, some of the tricks don't. But that's the pace you have to work at if you're going to be successful in mobility. Once every 2 years doesn't make it. Basically, it's a problem. I've run into this with the vendors. you want to be successful, it's time to start thinking about what users want, not what your engineering department can produce. Why do you think Apple was so good at this? Because they had a real, of an arrogant son of a gun in charge of things, and he wouldn't take no for an answer. He was looking at what the customer wanted and beat the engineering guys into delivering it. So it's going to take a little more to be a success, and the stakes are high here. Now, so what are, if it's not UC, what are we talking about mobility? Well, let's talk first about the original problem. Now, mobility was a separate area inside of IT. In some cases, mobility wasn't and still isn't inside of the IT infrastructure. Purchasing function, which I came about in a moment. Also, this mobility group is not at all integrated with the PBXs or the UC, the wireless LANs. It is the guys who buy cell phones, period. And there's a bunch of pressing issues there. One of the biggest ones, and what I was talking about in my sessions at Interop yesterday, was what we have to do to accommodate BYOD, mobile device management systems. How do we secure this? Development and distribution, control of applications, mobile malware, and of course, they're getting advice from the cellular reps, not from anyone else. Now, things are starting to change. This is something I've noticed really, probably the biggest thing I've noticed in the mobility market in the last couple of years. The buyer was originally a purchasing function. Think about it, buying cell phones. Cell phone's a cell phone. Difference? Cents per minute. And maybe I got a better deal on like replacement handsets or some stuff like, we argue a lot about contract terms and junk and cellular contracts, but it was a purchasing function. BlackBerry was the first move into IT. Now, IT had to get involved in that. It was primarily an operations role. Yeah, we had to work out the interface between the BlackBerry server and the Exchange server. And generally, it was the IT guys who were taking care of the BES. The BES administrator was an IT guy. But once the iPhone hit, the whole game changed. Because it was the iPhone that really introduced this app mania. We did have apps for the BlackBerry, but generally speaking, one of the things that killed BlackBerry was their own administrators. One of the things that brought BYOD about is we call the overzealous BES administrator. The guy that screwed out every capability in that BlackBerry so he could do nothing more than do email and sit like a rock in your pocket. Basically they gave the administrators the ability to put them out of business. What a stroke of genius. Now, BYOD is making it an issue. And we are seeing different approaches. The unenlightened approach, I used this term a couple of times, get them an email and bye-bye. That's it. Disengage from mobility. I used the term here a little later. I wrote an article about this in No Jitter a couple of months back. My articles can stink, but the titles are the best ever. The title of this one was Head in the Sand, Career in the Toilet. See, it's this idea that if it's going to be their own device, great, give it to them, we'll just withdraw all support. Now, this is the single most important development that's going on in IT, so let's run like hell and get away from it. Sink or swim, head in the sand, career in the toilet. Of course, the enlightened approach, which we are starting to see catch on, is even regardless of who owns the device, security, management, support, all that stuff are still key IT responsibilities. And much more importantly, as this becomes more important in the user's life, in many cases, way more important than this UC stuff, this is what we want to see engaged in. See, one of the views I have in this world is that merger might not happen. It might be, and either we do it this way or we do it this way. Phrase I was using in Enterprise Connect is, yeah, we're going to do UC. The question is it going to be Link or LinkedIn? Yeah, maybe we move over to those other tools that are built around the mobility view and abandon the other ones we've been hearing about. Yeah, so this could be big stakes. Where are we? Okay, so what are they buying? MDM, mobile security solutions. Take a look at some of these. The MDM is probably the hottest one today and one of the toughest markets to be. Of our SI guys represented, anybody handling MDM solutions? Who are you packing?
Good and also Microsoft System Center.
With the Odyssey stuff on top of it, or just the pure Microsoft one?
Just pure.
What do you have?
Mobile Iron, Airwatch, and Fire Building.
Okay, you got, so we're going to put up the Gartner Magic Quadrant MDM in a moment. That's what I was saying. So there was somebody else over this way? Yeah.
Good in Airwatch.
Good in air, okay. All right, well, we'll put it this way. You guys are landing in the Magic Quadrant, but I probably don't have to tell you that. I'm sure Airwatch will have told you because they told me about 16 times.
Right.
Now, in terms of how much of this BYOD is going on, this is from the Public Security Survey that I just finished for Information Week. Currently, whoops. Well, yeah, this is the slide I was supposed to look at. Maybe let's go backward here a second. The 62% are currently supporting some BYOD, with another 24%. Add those together, that's 86% of respondents either have this or are planning to do it within the next year. Unfortunately, my next slide got eaten, but it was a description of what the device policies are. So if you're good at reading black on black, I'll give you the short skinny on this. There was a right answer in this. It was chosen by 40% of the respondents. The right answer was, we support, and this was asked of those who do support BYOD. We support a limited range of defined devices, and those devices must have our MDM software on them. That is called a best practices solution in mobility today. That was 40% of the respondents, which means the other 60% are coming in below the bar, which might be sending us to the bar. Now, posture is also very important. Here's my line, that head in the sand, career in the toilet. For most organizations, this question actually came up with at breakfast this morning. Somebody asked me what I thought about BYOD. And my answer was very frank. My opinion doesn't matter. It's happening with or without. I mean, actually, I would prefer we didn't have it because it would make our lives in IT a hell of a lot simpler. Unfortunately, that's no longer the reality, so you either make believe it's not happening or adapt. Adapting is a much better strategy. Of course, regardless of who owns the device, in a well-managed organization, it is still IT's responsibility for security, management, and compliance. But it does mean changing focus. And that focus is arguing with users is a losing battle. Forget about that one, ain't gonna get you anywhere. Head in the sand, career in a toilet, but basically, the IT role now has to start changing to look more as an advisor. And in some cases, we might be suggesting we are using these consumer tools, but if we do, we also have to be sure that we do have all the adequate protections and security. We have to be sure that they can work in an enterprise-grade fashion, or we have this other word we use, which is no, you can't use that one. It just doesn't make our parameters. Now, this is not a simple thing to develop, which means it is a business opportunity. Customers are struggling to understand this today, and it goes by the term mobility policy, but really it's much more basic than that. It's a mobility plan. You got to know how you're going to handle your stuff. The policy is just where we write down the rules, roles, and responsibilities. That's the documentation we give to the users, but it's a reflection of how we've planned to handle this. And it must be a cradle-to-grave plan. How we acquire the device, enroll it, that is how we get it onto the system, how we have to maintain it for security, application support, help desk functions, and when it's done, how we get rid of it securely. It gets done, it's either they upgrade it, we fire them, or they willingly leave the company. So the biggest things we focus on MDM is actually getting them on the thing and getting them off the thing. And we want to do that with the least amount of work possible for IT. Now, we do have a load of different MDM suppliers today. Gartner, in their Magic Quadrant survey in MDM last year, found 60 different vendors. Show you some of the things that they're planning. Overall, it's a major element in both managing and securing. It was pioneered by BlackBerry with the VES. The VES was the first mobile device management system. And now, BlackBerry is actually expanding their focus. BlackBerry Fusion, they acquired a company called Ubitex last year, which will now, through the same console, allow you to manage Android and iOS devices, as well as BlackBerry devices. It's not really, I mean, they have a front end, they have two servers sitting behind it. Either talks to the Ubitex server or talks to the old BES. Capabilities vary a lot with mobile operating systems. So one thing you gotta be prepared for and shopping for any of this stuff, truth is hard to find. So you have to ask real detailed questions, because you say, well, is your system capable of doing this? Now, if their system is capable of doing that for any one of the available mobile ecosystems, the answer they will give you is yes. You do need to know it's important to ask the next question. Actually, I've gotten to the point now. I was doing this in Enterprise Connect. I just start with a paper and I write columns on it. Like Android 2.x, Android 3.x, 4.x, iOS 3, iOS 4, BlackBerry, and I have a list of questions. I go, okay, let's talk about iOS 3. And I start asking, and they say, and they immediately want to switch it. No, we've got columns now. Let's stay in this column. And you march to the bottom, you start down the next column. That's how you find out what they can actually do. And of course, we have SaaS or premise-based options readily available. Status. It's really BlackBerry versus the rest of the world. And we'll show you clearly what that means in a moment, though it's changing. Currently, this is according to the results of our survey, 25% of organizations have MDM solutions in place today, with another 31%, which will bring that up to 56% within the next 24 months. So clearly there's stuff selling. Highly fragmented market. Of course, there's another shortcut approach here, which is the blunt instrument approach to MDM. It's called Exchange Active Sync. IBM is the same thing in Lotus Notes Traveler. Yeah, those are the push email solutions, but you do have the ability to enforce passwords on devices and do remote wipes. We refer to it as the thermonuclear remote wipe. Because you hit them with EAS. Basically, there go the baby pictures. And the MP3s and all our applications, the thermonuclear wipe. Might be exciting. Of course, what we've also found out is users are smartening up as well. See, in order for us to whack them with EAS, they have to have their Exchange account on the mobile device. So they know if they're quitting the day before they give notice, they yank that account on the mobile device, then we can't hit them. So it works both ways. Here's the Magic Quadrant, though, and like most Magic Quadrants, you'll see a lot of stuff focused down into this quadrant rather than up in that quadrant. There are only 4, actually, in the Magic Quadrant. Good, Sybase, AirWatch, and Mobile Iron. Of course, the funniest part about this is the most popular MDM solution in the world, the BlackBerry Enterprise Server, not on there.
Yes, why?
Why? Gartner's requirements which have to be able to support multiple platforms. We assume with Fusion they will be on this year, and then we'll see where they come out in this. A lot of stuff, and by the way, the one they did purchase is clumped down. Here's Ubitex down here. That's the one they got. So, nothing like buying from the bottom. So that way got eaten. Does your organization have or plan to have a mobile device management system? Mentions 25% with another 31% within the next 2 years. So market should be going from, if they stick to their plans, from 25% currently to 56% 2 years out. This is my favorite chart, though. This is it's a little harder to read, so I'll come down this way. Really hard to read. Put the labels in black. But essentially, look at this. I mean, I got here at midnight. The lower column is, do you manage these devices today? Next one up is, will you be doing it in 12 months? And the one above that is, will you be doing it in 24 months? As you might imagine, the first column is BlackBerry. 63% per day. This is Apple's iOS, and this is Android. See, clearly Android is still trailing behind in this, but look at next year. Next year, Apple is, well, they're off by 1. It's 69 versus 70. Apple will essentially tie BlackBerry in percentage of organizations managing them. Android's slowly coming up behind that, and then surpass them the following year. Of course, one of the other surveys we did looked at future buying plans for BlackBerry devices. Not a lot of future plans for buying BlackBerry devices. So wrap up, what should we be doing about this? It looks like I might actually finish early for once. It's the benefit of talking fast. But general advice for SIs, number 1 is, there is money to be made in mobility. General prescription is, play where they're hitting them. That is, if that's what they're buying, that's where you want to be standing. And what they're buying is big stuff, mobile device management. That seems to be the key element. Of course, underneath that, all the various elements of mobile security. Of course, mobile security is very difficult to pin down because it's not one problem. Basically what we talk about in mobile security is threat vectors, like all the different ways they can potentially hit you, including things like RF jamming, which does become a factor if you're dealing with a wireless network. But certainly application security, mobile malware protection, mobile application deployment and maintenance, VPNs. Actually, IBM, so you see John sitting there in the back, actually has one of the widest product lines in this, probably as wide as, well, the biggest name really is Sybase. They show up in the MDM space with Afaria, rather complicated product, but they also have a whole bunch that's part of SAP. So they've been acquiring them. They bought a company called Nucona, who specializes in mobile application distribution securely. Bunches of other companies they're clumping together, including software development tools, so they're into mobile applications, mobile app stores, mobile device management, basically covering. IBM is almost as wide a product line in terms of mobility, but nobody ever heard about it. Unless, of course, they read the column I wrote in No Jitter after Lotus Sphere when Rob was good enough to tell me about them. Mobile security, app development, wireless LAN is still big. And we're about to have another refresh on wireless LAN. We've been pretty hot on this stuff lately because we're moving from the A, B, G stuff to N. We're now starting to get chipsets for AC. That will be wireless LANs will operate potentially in excess of 1 billion bits a second. Partially it's a more efficient, more bandwidth efficient radio system, but now what they're doing essentially is moving from the biggest channel you can have in 802.11n is 40 megahertz. They're now expanding to 80 or 160 megahertz. And just like old Claude Shannon figured out back in 1948, bigger the pipe, more bits you can pump down it. So we do expect to see more action in wireless LAN and loads of specialized wireless devices. A lot of that today is going to be aimed toward that M2M migration. That is going to be important. For consultants, mobility is inexorably being drawn into IT. And it is one of the biggest problem areas because they really don't know who to put in charge. Should it be the infrastructure? Of course, the biggest problem I find is they have one guy taking care of the cellular stuff and another guy taking care of the Wi-Fi stuff, and if that ain't stupid, I don't know what is. The basic problem is human nature. To a hammer, every problem is going to look like a nail. So if all they know about is cellular technology, every solution is going to involve cellular technology, even if the guy's not leaving the building. So essentially, you'll have to handle mobility as mobility, not individual mobile technologies. Second, if you're dealing with a purchasing agent, you're in the wrong ballpark. This is moving beyond the purchasing agent function today. The issues of security, app development, app maintenance, all of that is where the focus is going in mobility today. Clearly, in the IT space, not the purchasing space any longer. And IT's job is changing from technology dictator, I used to love that job, to really technology enabler. Of course, at the same time, abdicating responsibility is not going to be an option. It's one of the problems we're actually facing in mobile security today. We were talking about it yesterday. The bomb hasn't gone off yet. Yet we have not had a major front page Wall Street Journal event or incident based on information getting out in the wild from a lost or stolen, poorly protected corporate or individual liable device. And without something to point, we did have one in the Wi-Fi world a few years ago with TJX when they lost control of 45 million customer credit card numbers and wound up paying close to $100 million in fines. That one did wind up on the front page of the Wall Street Journal and caught a lot of people's attention. So it's embarrassing, but we're almost hoping for a disaster in this. We're just hoping it's not our disaster. It's somebody else's, and then we can benefit from it. So that's probably the biggest challenge we're facing today is, if they haven't seen the problem yet, will they really believe it could potentially happen and happen to them? But again, regardless of whose device it is, it's IT's job to foster smart, efficient, secure, manageable implementation of technology. So the phrase I always like to use with clients, users are tech savvy, but IT's got to be tech smart. And that's the big difference between consumer and enterprise mobility. Tuber tools may be the best choice, but again, we gotta be sure that they are tech smart. But having their users have their own device is really a short-term palliative. Yeah, that takes care of your short-term problem. You still got to keep your eye on the long-term goal, which is, at the end of the day, it's not about making people smile. It's about making the business more efficient, more effective, more productive, and ultimately more profitable and more valuable to the shareholders. So the key is integrating that technology into existing business processes in an enterprise-ready fashion. And that's what I came to talk about today. Now, I do have 3 minutes to 2, so 3 minutes to go. So if anyone would like to ask a question, Russell. Oh, he's even going to the